So around Halloween time last year, I replaced my RTX 3080 with Intel's Arc A750 video card. And in the last 4 months, it has left me absolutely ecstatic and also absolutely frustrated. I have found for every good reason to recommend this card, there is usually something substantial holding it back. So I don't know if I can recommend it. To understand what I mean, let's first start simple with the card's design. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. Intel has totally killed the competition, in my opinion. It has a really cool, futuristic, sleek design, but it's still very minimal, which is right up my alley. It's also pretty well built as well. I don't think I ever hit 80 degrees Celsius in anything that I was using it for, and my fans weren't very loud either. But, and this is the first of many buts in this video, maintenance is a nightmare. I gave up repasting this video card because it required re-gluing and re-taping the components, and that's just not worth it in my opinion.
Literally, it's just glue that's keeping this part together.
Okay, simple as that.
If Intel had add-in boards from the likes of MSI, Asus, Gigabyte, then this probably wouldn't be an issue because they would use standard backplates with standard screws. And to be fair, most people when they install their video card probably won't clean it. But if you do, it's not going to be a simple process. In all honesty though, that's not a deal breaker. What about the software features and the hardware features? The AV1 encoder, the dedicated one on the Arc A750 is, in my opinion, probably the best feature ever. It's absolutely mind-blowing. I don't think I've recorded such high quality footage with such small file sizes ever before in my life, without at least consuming so many computer resources. I can also stream at 1080p 60 at half of Twitch's recommended bitrate, and it still looks so good. Now to be clear, these Arc cards are not the only cards on the market with a dedicated AV1 encoder, but they are the cheapest by a long shot. About $500. So that definitely deserves some recognition. But here it is again. Their software needs a lot of work. Even with the updates, there are still a lot of bugs which are just annoying. Like whenever I open the Intel overlay in a game, I can't see where my mouse is, and that makes starting and stopping recording super difficult.
So now my mouse doesn't show up. Alt-Tab, Alt-I. Now capture, then get back in game.
They also only have 3 customizable hotkeys, and that's for opening the overlay, which is expected, opening the metrics overlay, which is also expected, and then starting and stopping highlights, not full recordings, just highlights. So I can't use a hotkey to fix this issue. MSI Afterburner also doesn't support key metrics for the Arc cards. Now that could just be MSI Afterburner's fault, but because it's such a popular software, it's at least worth mentioning. Also, I can't use visual effects in Google Meets at all. Whenever I try it, my camera will restart and then I have to plug it back in for it to turn on again. And sometimes Zoom meetings just flat out crash without any visual effects applied. So that can be a big deal if you're in meetings a lot. Now, while these problems are a little bit more egregious than the design issues, there's still workarounds. You can use OBS for all of your recording, your streaming. You can use the virtual camera and blur out your background or change your background through that. And Intel's in-house metric monitoring software is actually pretty good. You can open the overlay and then you can have it in your top right. I wasn't able to figure out how to actually change the size or the position, which that can be a little annoying, but again, you still have that option. So still no deal breakers in my opinion. How about gaming? To be frank, I really enjoyed gaming on the A750 since its inception. Average FPS was never really a problem for me, and I think it punched above its weight class in newer games like Cyberpunk 2077, for instance. The newer driver also didn't really improve performance, at least noticeably in the games that I play, but it also didn't break anything, which is very important. But it also didn't fix everything. Not every older game has good performance yet. CSGO has tremendously improved, and I mean, it's such a popular game, so rightfully so, but I don't play it. So if I'm being honest, that didn't matter much to me. In games that I do play, like Smite and DirectX 9, frame times have improved, so it's a smoother experience overall, but average FPS is still nowhere near it should be. Thankfully, Smite has a DirectX 11 option which works well on the A750, but I bring this up just to show that not everything is fixed just yet. You also must You must enable resizable bar if you actually want to enjoy your games. And unfortunately, that's not available on every platform. You need a newer platform for you to actually have that. So here's a list of the motherboards and the CPU generations that support resizable bar. If you're not on this list or newer, don't get the ARC cards. This is a small con because people naturally do this anyway, but whenever you upgrade your drivers, you should use display driver uninstaller. And then when you install the new driver, click clean install. And that way, all of your driver files should hopefully be removed. If you have anything that's kind of lingering, like I had when I first just upgraded through Intel's ARC software, then it can definitely negatively affect performance. Now for some, a lot of these gaming problems can be excused, especially if your game library doesn't deal with these problems, and I totally understand that. But I think the next point really makes me question whether or not I should recommend ARC cards to new builders, and that is the installation process. Even in a vacuum, without any competition, it was hilariously bad. So when I installed my A750 for the first time, I personally dealt with a black screen after driver installation, and only after unplugging and replugging my HDMI cables did it work. And I'm still not sure what the root problem was and how this fixed it. My 4K monitor had screen artifacts with my DisplayPort cable, so I had to switch to HDMI. The driver update didn't fix this, so I'm assuming this might just be a one-off hardware problem, but still not completely sure. And I couldn't use both of my monitors. My portable one stayed gray. And it wasn't until I bought a $12 DisplayPort to HDMI adapter did it actually work. So it took about $12, about an hour of troubleshooting, and if you include shipping, 2 days of waiting until I could get my computer to an equilibrium state. I generally don't have that problem with AMD and NVIDIA. Even as an experienced builder, this wasn't fun. And so I can only imagine as a new builder, this being just an awful first experience. Now, I still can't guarantee that things have really improved. I was thinking this might be a one-off experience, but other people have reported having the same problems as myself. And some have even documented it, like Gamers Nexus, for instance. So it's hard to say. Even if it was a one-off experience, this is where the recommendation part is difficult. But even if my installation woes were a one-off experience, it's hard to say it, but overall there are just better options right now. And that honestly stinks for Intel because they're priced really well, especially with the recent price cut on the A750. They offer good value on paper, but you also have AMD's offerings. AMD's 6600 to 6650 XT video cards are around the same price, they are reliably faster, and they have more stable drivers with a better software suite. So 9 times out of 10, I would recommend that over the ARC card. Nadia from Tech Testers also has an amazing graph that shows how power efficiency can actually make the ARC card more expensive, and not over the span of a few years, like over the span of a few months. Now, thankfully, my power bills are not super pricey right now, so it won't affect me. But in certain European countries, this can be a big difference. After using this card for 4 months, I can say that I genuinely think it's a good first effort from Intel. From a customer's perspective though, unless you really need the dedicated encoder, you're okay with being a beta-ish tester, having a few hiccups, or you can get it for a really, really, really good price, like under $200. I would say skip it. There are just better options brand new out there right now in almost every single way. But in all honesty, I'm very excited for Intel's next offering. I think they will be able to iron out a lot of the kinks in their 2nd and 3rd generation cards. So if anything, wait for that. I think they have a decent footing right now, and I think moving forward, they can take a lot of the feedback and make an even better product in the coming years. So if you guys enjoy this video, leave a like. If you loved it, share, subscribe, all of that fun stuff. My battery is literally flashing, about to die, so I'm going to make this goodbye quick. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.